on sight. I gotta work with this brave fool. Oh yeah!
Hey, it's me, the comic collecting, box diving, back issue filing, Simonson loving, Rantin Ravin, son of a gun, Mike Rader, and I'm here on MCBCFA Play, bringing you my inaugural show, Rantin Ravin with Rader. So, let me tell you what this is about. The show is going to be a little bit about a little bit of everything. It's all about comics. It's all about pop culture. It might be about a little bit of all of it, but the first show we're going to do here is about just the specifics of some collecting. Now, we all understand collecting. You see it, you hear it, you see the numbers, you see people like, I have this big a collection, I have that big a collection. Sometimes it almost feels like you're trying to measure up to each other, right? That's not what I'm about here. I'm here to talk to you about doing a collection where it's a little bit more centralized or downsized or focused or whatever you want to call it. But it is a collection where you're going to put in a smaller amount of books. And you don't have to feel bad about that. There's nothing wrong with having this kind of a collection. It might be what you like. It might be what you enjoy. So, it's because it's not all about how big that CLZ database is, right? That number that appears in the top of your thing, or your database, or however you collect it, your notepad, wherever you keep your tally. It's not about that big number, right? It's about what you like, what you love, what you enjoy. So, I'm going to get into it a little bit here and talk about it. So, with this type of collecting, there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can do specific to, like, saying, I want to collect a specific series, such as Thor, Hulk, Spawn. No problem. You collect Volume 1, that's all you want to do. That's a way to do it. You might say, I want to collect a specific character. Again, Thor, Spawn, Hulk. With that, you might say only within certain parameters where they cross over, or where they appear singular in a book. You know, they're not really crossing over, but like they're one-shots or things like that. There's so many options on what to do with it. There are other ones could be you might collect a specific artist or writer. You might collect issue numbers or specific covers, such as only variants or this cover like this, a cover that is only done, such as, not only done, but a cover that would be one specific category would be you would pick a cover, almost an iconic cover, king size special number 1, Incredible Hulk. This is by Jim Steranko. It's a pretty iconic cover. I think most people know what it is, at least somewhat in the comic world, right? And it's so popular that it collects homages to it. So, you have this, and then you have that. It's essentially the same idea. You can collect things like that. That's a way to go. Like I said, you might collect a specific number. I, myself, collect 58s. Why 58s? It's a number that was my sports number in high school. It kind of just stuck around for all these years, and it's a little odd, it's a little off. I always liked the way it looked. I thought it was cool. When I was doing my collections and I was trying to make my collection more manageable, I bumped it down. Just said, I'm going to keep these 58 books. I'm going to look for these 58 books. There's not as many of them, obviously, especially in the recent years. You've noticed that the series are not making it to number 58 quite as easily, but you might get some 58s. I have in Hulk from Volume 2, number 58, or technically Volume 3, however it plays out. A Green Lantern, 58. So that's pretty good, right? Those type of things. You might want to go with specific artists or writers, as I said. This one here, this one is Indestructible Hulk with the cover by Walter Simonson. He did the interior arts. This one here is the new Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four 348. This is a cover, and again, Art Adams. They're both the authors and cover artists, or not authors, I'm sorry. They are the artists and interiors and cover, and then Walter Simonson wrote this and drew this. So I collect both of these. I collect both those type of these things with those writers and artists. So that's some options there. So these type of things they make it a little interesting, right? When you have this type of a smaller collection, this type of a little bit of the smaller type of realm. There's not a whole bunch of those, okay? It's not like Walter Simonson or Art Adams or Jim Steranko or Charles Soule or whoever you're talking about, Hickman, all these guys, they don't write everything. So you're not collecting every book, right? They're not drawing everything. But you're getting what you like. And that's what this is about. So I say, collect them what you like. Do what you want to do. And it's good because these type of collections are so much smaller, as I mentioned a lot of times, than getting everything that comes out. There's so many books that come out, especially now. It's really hard to collect everything. So these type of collections are really good for if you have a small budget. I went to recently and searched 6 long boxes. I pulled out 6 books that I bought, and I think I paid a total of $4. That's really good. I don't have a huge budget. I'm working on a smaller amount, which is fine. It doesn't bother me, especially since I keep my collection within that budget somewhat. I mean, obviously I could go and just run wild with it, but it doesn't always work that way. So it also is good for this type of smaller collection if you don't have a lot of room. I myself have a smaller area here. It's a sectioned off room, and it's probably about 8 feet wide, and I would say 18 to 20 feet long. It's not huge, but it's definitely big enough for what I have. I use filing cabinets as well to maximize my space. They're not quite as long as a long box, but they have you can fit them if you get a legal size cabinet. You can fit 2 rows in there, so you can actually fit, I think it equals out to 2.5 long boxes per drawer or something like that. So you're taking up less space. It's, for me at least, that's really good. The other thing about it is that they do really well is if they make it when you're looking for your books almost a little bit more the hunt, as I call it. When you're out searching and you're out looking, like I said, it's a little more thrilling because there's a lot less game, right? When we're talking about hunting, meaning, as I said earlier, that I went through all those boxes, a few hundred books, and I only pulled out 6. So I actually have to be searching for it instead of just walking in, grabbing the first 50, setting it on the counter, paying for them. And if that's how you collect, that is not my place to judge. For me, I'm just saying this might give you a little bit more thrill in what you're doing instead of just going and buying and just hoping that it's something good. I really like to just search it out and find it. It makes it pretty interesting to me. The other part of that is it is some problems with it. One thing, like I said, is when I get some of these books, I have a little bit of OCD, and let's be honest, who doesn't have it? I'm not saying we're all diagnosed and we're all medicated and everything, and I'm not, but I do know I have some issues with it, and such as this, so that's why we collect in this hoarder somewhat mentality. But, so as I mentioned before, my 58s, for example, I collect 58 issues. I also collect Incredible Hulk issues. I also collect Incredible Hulk #1 homage issues. So, this fits 2 criteria. It's a number 58. It's an Incredible Hulk book from the whole Hulk Legacy numbering, which I am trying to get all of, except for Tales to Astonish 1 through 58, because the Hulk does not appear in those. I have no idea why Marvel lumped them into there. I feel like it was just a really easy thing to do, and I don't agree with it. But anyhow, I digress. I'm going off subject a little bit. But so it fits into 2 criteria. This one also fits into 2 criteria. It's, like I said, it's a 58. Boom, it goes with these. It's also an homage to Incredible Hulk #1. If you don't believe me, look it up. It has all the things. It has the small character, the large character, and the little quotes on there. Is it such and such? Is he such and such? Is it both? Right? The problem with that is, it creates a problem. An issue is, what do I do? Do I file it Hulk? Do I file it 58? Do I file this as an homage? Do I file it as a 58? So it sometimes creates an issue where I have to buy 2 books, or trade for 2 books, or somehow find 2 books. Now this one, a little harder to find 2 books. This one, not very hard. I have 2 books. One's in my Hulk collection, right with the run. One's in the 58s. This one, I chose to go with the 58s. I have it in my CLZ that's super OCD. If anyone's really ever used it, you can break it down a lot. I have it categorized as like 3 or 4 different places, so I can find it anywhere, but I know where I keep it. That also allows me to tell myself where I keep it, so that's a good thing. That really helps the OCD, the CLZ does. It feeds it, and it also flares it. So that kind of creates a problem. Same with this one. I collect Jim Steranko. I also collect homages to this cover. I also collect all the Incredible Hulk run. Just, what do? Again, harder to find. I only have one of it, so it's with the books in my regular Incredible Hulk run. And one way I've supplemented that is I've put all of my homages to it behind it, and then labeled that a specific tab in my filing cabinet collected that say, this is here, and it follows with those. All the ones for that. That's pretty good. Same thing here. Again, I do all the Hulk run, and I do Walter Simonson. I have this in 2 spots. I have 2 of them. This is a rough one because I do Walter Simonson, writing or art. I do Arthur Adams, and I also do Incredible Hulk stuff. I have 3 of this. I have it in 3 spots. In the Art Adams, in the Walter Simonson, and in the stuff with my Incredible Hulk. I know it's not a specific Incredible Hulk title, but this is my favorite team. I'm a product of the 90s. I absolutely love this team. I have a whole bunch of copies of this. I think I have 10 copies of this storyline, this 3 issues. And I have a couple second print. I have 3 second prints of all the ones that went to second print, and they are in the specific location. So OCD, like I said, it kind of gets to you, but I still enjoy it. It's not frustrating me so much where I'm freaking out about it. So I've managed it with those situations, and it's working really good. The other thing that this does do, that the smaller collection does, is it leaves you with a feeling of being left out somewhat. I don't want to say that like, oh, I'm not getting, but you see some people with these large, amazing new comic book day purchases. Like, their pull lists are huge, and they just have a stack, like, bam. And that's pretty cool, but I do know a lot of the people that have books like that, that get books like that, they don't read their books enough. They don't have time. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not trying, but they don't have time. I know a lot of people are years or months or something behind, and they're not able to catch up. But it still leaves you feeling left out, because they'll grab something and look at how awesome this is, and they get the variant, and they get the regular, and they get all that stuff, and you're like, oh, I kind of wouldn't want that. I like it looks cool, but if you, then, so you feel like you're not able to get as much. But then you go to a shop, and you might pull out a few books, and you're super happy, and that's all that matters, just because then once you stick to your collection and stick with what you're doing, and you're always welcome to change. That's the best part. You don't have to keep it like that. You don't have to keep it like that. I switch it up all the time. Sometimes I'll get rid of whole things I've collected for 3 or 4 or 5, 10 years, and the next I get rid of them, and 2 years later I'm back to collecting it, maybe in a different way, but I get those books right back sometimes. I don't think we ever stop collecting and stop changing, but so, like I said, a little bit of everything. There's good, there's bad. Again, a quick rundown is good. Good for smaller spaces, good for smaller budgets, good for specializing in things. If you don't know what you want to do, you've watched a new movie, a new Marvel movie, and man, you loved Thor Ragnarok, and you thought it was great. But you don't know that you really what to collect. You don't know what you like, but you enjoyed Hella so much. So now you say, okay, well, I'm just going to kind of go and try to find some stories that are Hella focused. That's a focused collection. That's a good way to start. That might be what you do. You might just say, I want to get the books that this movie was kind of based on, which is 2 different storylines, something from Hulk, something from Thor. You might go with that and start getting that and read it and just decide that's how you like it. You might just say, I love all these characters. I'm going to collect all the Hulk. I'm going to collect all the Thor. Perfect. It's just how you want to do it. We're not telling you what to do. We're giving you options. The bad is, like I said, OCD kind of gets flared a little bit when you make these things and they overlap. It's rough. Second, it does give you a little bit of a feeling of being left out. So, but overall, if you're doing comics and that's what you enjoy, you're probably going to be happy no matter how you're collecting it. Large, small, focused, unfocused, whatever you want to do, you're going to be happy. So that's a little wrap up on that today. If you have any questions, you have any comments, leave them. We'll discuss it. I appreciate you guys coming and taking a look at this. I hope that you'll hit the subscribe button and see what we have in store for you. Thanks for coming around, and I'll see you next time.